Zara slammed both palms on Jae-hyun's desk. You are gay, but you banged me so well last night. How come? His pen stopped mid-signature. Those dark eyes, the same ones that had looked at her with desperate hunger just hours ago, went completely blank. Miss Williams. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. Answer the question, Jae-hyun. She leaned closer, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Because the man I was with last night? He wasn't performing. He wasn't faking. So either you're the world's greatest actor, or you're lying to yourself about who you actually want. A muscle ticked in his jaw. You're making assumptions based on. Based on what? The fact that your assistant accidentally mentioned your ex-boyfriend when explaining why you don't date? Or the way you looked at Minjun from accounting at the holiday party? I pay attention, Jae-hyun. I always pay attention. He stood slowly, buttoning his suit jacket with deliberate precision. Whatever happened last night was a mistake. We both had too much to drink. I had 2 glasses of wine. You had whiskey, neat. We were both perfectly sober when you kissed me in that hallway. When you told me you'd never felt a scene by anyone before. When you. Enough. His voice cracked like a whip, but she saw his hands tremble before he shoved them in his pockets. This conversation is over. No. It's not. Zara straightened, refusing to be intimidated. Because I don't do confused men who can't figure out what they want. I don't do secrets. And I definitely don't do mornings after where I'm treated like a regret. For just a moment, something broke through his mask, pain, confusion, maybe even longing. But then his expression went cold again. You should leave. Gladly. She turned toward the door, then paused. But you should know something. Last night? When you let your guard down. That was the realest thing I've seen in this whole fake-ass company. Whatever you're running from, it's going to catch up to you eventually. She was halfway to the door when she saw it, a framed photograph on his desk she hadn't noticed before. A beautiful Korean woman with a designer smile, standing next to Jae-hyun at some formal event. His arm around her waist. Her hand displaying an enormous diamond ring. Zara's stomach dropped. You're engaged? His silence was answer enough. She walked out before he could see her hands shake. 12 hours earlier. The Grand Meridian Hotel ballroom glittered like something out of a fairy tale, all crystal chandeliers and champagne towers. Zara tugged at her gold dress, mentally calculating how many months of rent this company gala probably cost. You look like you're planning an escape route, a voice said behind her. She turned to find Jae-hyun holding 2 champagne flutes, his typical CEO armor slightly loosened, tie undone, top button open. She'd worked at Kim Hotel Group for 8 months, and this was maybe the 10th time she'd heard him speak directly to her. I'm always planning escape routes. Hazard of the job. She accepted the champagne. Marketing director means attending events where everyone pretends to like each other. The corner of his mouth lifted. Almost a smile. And you don't pretend? Waste of energy. Life's too short to spend it performing for people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. Something shifted in his expression. That's a lonely philosophy. It's an honest one. She studied him over the rim of her glass. You'd know something about performance though, wouldn't you? CEO at 32. Perfect son. Perfect businessman. Must be exhausting. His jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. I know you check your phone every 7 minutes like you're waiting for permission to breathe. I know you never eat lunch because you're in back-to-back meetings scheduled by someone else. I know you approved my campaign proposal in 30 seconds because it was actually good, but then your father overruled it because it was too Western. She tilted her head. So? Yeah, I know enough. He stared at her like she'd just spoken a language he'd forgotten existed. I need air, he said abruptly. The terrace. 5 minutes. He walked away before she could respond. Zara waited exactly 5 minutes, then slipped through the crowd to the empty terrace overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Jae-hyun stood at the railing, hands gripping the metal like it was the only thing keeping him upright. "You shouldn't have followed me," he said without turning. "You asked me to." "I suggested." "I didn't ask." Semantics from a man who looks like he's about to jump. She joined him at the railing, close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body. "What's really going on, Jae-hyun?" He turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw him without the mask. Raw. Vulnerable. Lost. Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Like you woke up one day and realized nothing you've done was actually your choice? "Every day since I moved to Seoul," she admitted. "But I chose to come here. I chose this job. I chose to stay even when it got hard. The difference is, I'm choosing my own cage." "What if you don't get to choose? What if the cage was built before you were born?" The air between them thickened with something dangerous. Understanding. Recognition. "Then you pick the lock," Zara said quietly. "Or you spend your whole life wondering what freedom tastes like." He moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker. "And if freedom means destroying everything you've ever known? Then you decide what matters more. The familiar prison or the terrifying unknown." His hand came up, fingers brushing her cheek with devastating gentleness. "You're dangerous." "I'm honest. There's a difference." "Not in my world." He kissed her like a man drowning, like she was oxygen and he'd been underwater his entire life. His hands tangled in her hair, pulling her closer, and Zara felt the desperation in every touch. This wasn't about attraction. This was about survival. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. "I can't do this," he whispered. "I can't be what you need. I don't need you to be anything except real. Whatever that looks like." His laugh was broken. "You don't understand. My life isn't mine. My choices aren't mine. Even this," he gestured between them, "this can't be mine." "Because of your family?" "Because of everything." He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I should go back inside." Or, Zara caught his wrist, "you could stop running for one night. Stop being the perfect son and the perfect CEO and just be Jae-hyun. Whoever that is." The war in his eyes was visible. Duty versus desire. Expectation versus authenticity. Desire won. "My penthouse is 10 minutes away," he said, voice rough. "If you come with me, I can't promise anything beyond tonight. I can't promise I won't regret this tomorrow. I can't." She kissed him to shut him up, tasting champagne and desperation and possibility. "Stop talking. Start driving." The penthouse was obscenely beautiful, all floor-to-ceiling windows and modern art that probably cost more than her car. But Zara barely noticed the decor. She only noticed him. In the elevator, they'd maintained careful distance, but the moment his door closed, something unleashed. He pressed her against the wall, kissing her with an intensity that stole her breath. His hands mapped her body like he was memorizing every curve, every response. "Tell me to stop," he murmured against her neck. "Tell me this is insane." "It is insane." She pulled his shirt from his pants, fingers finding warm skin. "Do I look like I'm stopping you?" They barely made it to his bedroom. Clothes disappeared in a trail of expensive fabric and desperate need. And when he finally moved over her, inside her, his eyes locked on hers with such raw vulnerability that Zara felt something crack open in her chest. This wasn't just physical. This was communion. Two people tired of performing, tired of hiding, finally allowing themselves to be seen. Afterward, they lay tangled in his sheets, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing absent patterns on her shoulder. "I've never," he started, then stopped. "Never what?" "Felt like this. Like I could just exist. Without apologizing for it. She propped herself up on one elbow, studying his face in the moonlight streaming through the windows. Who taught you that existing required an apology? Everyone. My father, my tutors, my family's expectations. Even the media. There's a script for how a Kim Hotel Group heir should live. This, he gestured vaguely at the space between them, isn't in the script. Screw the script. He smiled, genuine and unguarded. You make it sound simple. It is simple. Not easy, but simple. You decide what you want and you go after it. Everything else is just noise. And what do you want, Zara Williams? She leaned down, kissing him softly. Right now? More of this. More of you without the armor. More truth, less performance. I don't know if I remember how to do truth. Then learn. Starting now. He pulled her back down to him, and for hours, they existed in that stolen pocket of reality where nothing else mattered except the truth of skin on skin, breath mingling with breath, two people choosing each other in defiance of everything that said they shouldn't. Just before dawn, Zara woke to find him already dressed, standing at his window overlooking the city. You're leaving, she said, not a question. I have an early meeting. The walls were back up. She could see them reconstructing in real time, brick by brick, until the man who'd held her like she was precious was gone, replaced by the CEO who answered to no one and everyone. Jae-hyun. Last night was, he paused, choosing his words carefully, a mistake. The word landed like a slap. A mistake, she repeated flatly. You should go. My driver will take you home. Zara climbed out of his bed with as much dignity as she could muster, gathering her clothes from his floor. She dressed in silence while he remained at the window, refusing to look at her. At his door, she turned back. For the record? The man who touched me last night, who talked to me like I mattered, who let himself feel something real. He wasn't a mistake. But you calling him one? That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. She left before he could respond. Now, 12 hours later, standing in his office staring at that photograph of him with another woman, Zara felt the full weight of her own stupidity crash down. She'd let herself believe in possibility. In connection. In the fantasy that maybe, just maybe, he was different. But he wasn't different. He was exactly what she should have expected, another man who took what he wanted and called it a mistake when the sun came up. The engagement photo mocked her with its glossy perfection. Zara walked out of his office with her head high and her heart in pieces, swearing she'd never make the mistake of believing in Kim Jae-hyun again. Behind her, alone in his office, Jae-hyun sat down heavily in his chair and stared at the photograph of Lee. So, Min, the woman his family had chosen for him before he was old enough to have an opinion. The woman he was supposed to marry in 6 months. The woman who represented everything he was supposed to be. Then he looked at his door where Zara had just walked out. The woman who'd made him feel alive for the first time in his carefully controlled life. He picked up his phone, thumb hovering over his father's contact. Then he set it down. Some cages were too strong to escape, no matter how badly you wanted freedom. Before we continue, I want to know whose side you'd be on during the course of this battle, Team Zara or Team Jae-hyun. Should Zara walk away or fight for what they had? Let me know below. Let's find out Zara's next move. Zara spent the weekend deleting his number 4 times and resaving it 3. Monday morning arrived with Seoul's typical chaos, traffic, coffee that tasted like regret, and the suffocating weight of walking into Kim Hotel Group headquarters knowing he was somewhere in this building. Her assistant Mina was already at her desk, eyes wide with barely contained gossip. Have you seen the news? Zara set down her bag. What news? Mina pulled up a tabloid website on her screen. The headline screamed in bold Korean characters, with English subtitles below, Hotel heir, Kim Jae-hyun and Lee. So, Min, wedding date announced for June. Below it, professional photos from what looked like an engagement party Zara definitely hadn't been invited to. Jae-hyun in a tailored tuxedo. So, Min radiant in couture, both smiling like they'd stepped out of a fairy tale. The article gushed about Korea's power couple and the dynasty merger between Kim Hotel Group and Lee Industries. Zara's coffee suddenly tasted like acid. They look perfect together, don't they? Mina sighed dreamily. Like something from a drama.
Yeah.
Perfect. Zara forced herself to look away. Did the Singapore proposal get approved? Oh. Director Choi rejected it. Said it wasn't aligned with company values. Translation, Jae-hyun's father had killed another one of her ideas. Zara's computer pinged with a meeting invitation. Executive strategy session. Mandatory attendance. Conference room A, in 10 minutes. Of course. Conference room A was already half full when she arrived. Senior directors, department heads, and at the head of the table, Chairman Kim himself, a silver-haired man whose presence sucked the oxygen from any room he entered. And beside him, Jae-hyun. Eyes forward, expression neutral, every inch the obedient heir. Zara took a seat as far from them as possible. Chairman Kim began without preamble. We're restructuring the marketing department. Too much Western influence, not enough respect for traditional values. His eyes landed on Zara. Miss Williams. Your campaigns have been creative. But creativity without discipline is chaos. Going forward, all proposals will be reviewed by myself personally before implementation. It was a public neutering. Every person in this room knew it. With respect, Chairman Kim, Zara kept her voice level. The Western influence campaigns increased bookings by 37% in Q4. The numbers speak for themselves. Numbers aren't everything. Reputation is. Legacy is. He smiled without warmth. I'm sure you understand. Jae-hyun said nothing. Didn't even look at her. Coward. The meeting dragged on for another excruciating hour. When it finally ended, Zara was the first one out, heading straight for the elevators. Miss Williams. She jabbed the elevator button harder. I'm busy, Director Kim. Jae-hyun stepped beside her, close enough that she could smell that damn cedar cologne. We need to talk. No, we really don't. About Friday night. The elevator dinged. Zara stepped inside. There's nothing to talk about. You made yourself clear. It was a mistake. You're engaged. End of story. She hit the close button repeatedly, but he slipped inside just before the doors shut. They were alone. It's not that simple, he said quietly. It really is. You're getting married in June to a woman you clearly love enough to smile at like that in photographs. I was a fun distraction. Message received. I don't love her. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Zara laughed, sharp and bitter. Right. You're marrying someone you don't love. That makes it so much better. It's arranged. Has been since we were children. Our families. I don't care about your families. I don't care about your traditions or your dynasty or whatever excuse you're about to give me. She turned to face him fully. You made me feel like I mattered. Like what we shared meant something. Then you called it a mistake and sent me home in your driver's car like I was a problem to be solved. The elevator continued its descent. 15 floors. 14. 13. You did matter. You do matter. But I can't, he stopped, jaw working like the words were physically painful. My life isn't my own. Every decision, every relationship, every public appearance is calculated by my father.
So?
Min is part of that calculation. Then uncalculate yourself. Choose something real for once. And lose everything? My position, my family, your cage, Zara finished. God forbid you lose your beautiful, suffocating cage. The elevator reached the ground floor. The doors opened to a crowded lobby. Zara stepped out, then turned back. You want to know the saddest part? I actually believed you when you said I made you feel seen. Turns out you just wanted someone to witness your self-pity. She walked away before he could respond, before she could see if her words had landed, before the tears threatening behind her eyes could fall. That night, Zara did what she always did when emotions threatened to drown her. She researched. 2 bottles of wine in, her apartment littered with printed articles and her laptop glowing with open tabs, she pieced together Kim Jae-hyun's history like a puzzle. Graduated top of his class from Seoul National University. MBA from Wharton. Returned to Korea at 25 to begin his grooming for eventual CEO succession. But there were gaps. A semester abroad in Paris during undergrad that had no photographs, no social media presence, no trail. A year between undergrad and business school where he'd apparently traveled, but no one specified where. She found an old blog post, archived and nearly deleted, from a French art student. The post was in French, but Google Translate revealed enough. Saw Jay again today at the gallery. He looks at paintings like they might save him. Told me his father wants him to come home, take over the family business. He said it feels like a death sentence. I told him to stay. He said some cages are inescapable. The post was dated 7 years ago. Zara dug deeper, following digital breadcrumbs that led to a series of photographs on an obscure photography collective's website. Black and white images from a Parisian exhibition. In one photograph, partially visible in the background, 2 men holding hands in front of a Monet. She zoomed in. One of them was unmistakably Jae-hyun, younger, smiling in a way she'd never seen. Unguarded. Happy. The caption was in French, love in the time of water lilies. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text message was in Korean. She ran it through translation, stop digging. You'll only find pain. Zara stared at the message, then typed back, who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response came. She looked back at the photograph of young Jae-hyun, holding hands with someone who'd made him smile like that, and felt something shift in her chest. Not quite forgiveness. Not quite understanding. But something close to it. What had happened to that man? The one who'd loved openly enough to hold hands in public? Tuesday brought rain and an unexpected visitor to Zara's office. Lee.
So?
Min stood in her doorway, elegant in cream Chanel, holding a designer umbrella like a weapon. Miss Williams. I hope I'm not interrupting. Zara stood slowly. That depends on why you're here.
So?
Min closed the door behind her, then crossed to the window overlooking the city. You slept with my fiancé. Not a question. A statement. I don't know what you're. Please. I've known Jae-hyun since we were 8 years old. I know when something's shifted.
So?
Min turned to face her. He came home from the gala looking like he'd seen a ghost. Then spent the entire weekend holed up in his penthouse refusing to see anyone. The next morning, he could barely meet my eyes. So yes, Miss Williams. I know. Zara lifted her chin. If you're here for an apology. I'm here to tell you to stop. Stop what? Whatever fantasy you're building in your head where this ends well. Where he chooses you over duty, over family, over everything he's ever known.
So?
Min's voice was gentle, almost pitying. I'm not saying this to be cruel. I'm saying it because I've watched that man suffocate under expectations his entire life. The one time he tried to break free, his father destroyed it so thoroughly that Jae-hyun didn't speak for 3 months. What happened?
So?
Min hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. Paris. 7 years ago. He fell in love with a French photographer named Alexander. They were together for almost a year. Jae-hyun was happy for the first time in his life. Then Chairman Kim found out. Zara's stomach knotted. What did he do? Offered Alexander $5 million to disappear. When he refused, Chairman Kim had him arrested on fabricated drug charges. He was deported within 72 hours. Jae-hyun flew to Paris to find him, but Alexander was already gone. No forwarding address, no contact information, nothing. The room tilted slightly. Chairman Kim told Jae-hyun that love was a luxury he couldn't afford. That every relationship would be used against him, turned into leverage. So he stopped trying.
So?
Min's expression was unreadable. He learned to be what everyone expected. It was easier than fighting. That's not love. That's surrender. Call it what you want. But understand this, if you continue pursuing him, Chairman Kim will destroy you too. And this time, Jae-hyun won't fight for you. He'll let you go because he believes that's the only way to protect you. Zara's hands clenched into fists. Why are you telling me this? Because you seem like someone who deserves the truth. And because.
So?
Min paused, something vulnerable flickering across her perfect features, because I know what it's like to want something you can't have. To perform a role so long you forget what your real face looks like. Then why marry him? Because some cages come with benefits. Security. Status. Freedom from certain expectations. The way she said expectations carried weight. Our marriage works because neither of us is under any illusions about what it is. A transaction. A survival strategy.
So?
Min moved toward the door, then paused. He's not going to choose you, Miss Williams. Not because he doesn't want to. But because wanting something and having the courage to claim it are very different things. Save yourself the heartbreak. She left, trailing expensive perfume and uncomfortable truths. Zara sat at her desk for a long time, staring at nothing. Then she opened her laptop and searched for Alexander Rousseau, photographer, Paris. She found him in 15 minutes. A modest website showcasing haunting black and white portraits. No mention of Korea. No photographs of Jae-hyun. But in the About Us section, one line stood in English, "We photograph what we've lost." Zara clicked on the contact page, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then she closed the laptop. Some doors, once opened, couldn't be closed again. Late Tuesday night, Zara was still at the office when her phone buzzed. Jae-hyun's name on the screen. She stared at it for 3 rings before answering. What? Where are you? His voice was tight, controlled. Working. Some of us have jobs to do. I'm outside your office. We need to talk. Your fiancé already handled that conversation. Silence. Then, she came to see you? Gave me the whole tragic backstory. Paris, Alexander, your father's greatest hits. Very informative. She heard him exhale. I'm coming up. Don't. Zara. I said don't. She stood, grabbing her bag. You don't get to do this. Show up whenever your guilt gets uncomfortable and expect me to absolve you. I'm not your priest. I'm not your therapist. And I'm definitely not your secret. I never asked you to be. No, you just expected it. She headed for the elevator. Stay away from me, Jae-hyun. Go marry your perfect wife and live your perfect scripted life. I'm done being a character in your tragedy. She hung up before he could respond. The elevator doors opened. Jae-hyun stood there, phone still to his ear, looking like he hadn't slept in days. They stared at each other. Move, Zara said. Not until you listen. I don't want to hear it. Alexander was real. What I felt for him was real. And when my father destroyed it, something in me broke. His voice was raw. I spent 7 years building walls so high that nothing could touch me. No one could hurt me. And it worked. Until you. Zara's throat tightened. Lucky me. You asked me how I could want you if I'm gay. That's not, he ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. It's not that simple. I don't have neat labels that explain how I feel. I just know that Alexander made me feel alive. And you do the same thing. Different but the same. Real. Real isn't enough when you're too scared to act on it. I'm not scared. I'm trapped. There's a difference. No, there isn't. She stepped into the elevator, forcing him to move back. Trapped is what you tell yourself when you're too comfortable in your cage to break the lock. I grew up with nothing, Jae-hyun. Moved to a country where I didn't speak the language, worked 3 jobs to pay for Korean lessons, fought for every single opportunity I've ever had. You think I don't know about sacrifice? About hard choices? The elevator descended. The difference between us, Zara continued, is that I chose my struggles. I chose to fight. You're choosing surrender and calling it inevitability. You don't understand what you're asking me to give up. Then explain it to me. Right now. Tell me why a wedding in June to a woman you don't love is better than a chance at something real. The elevator reached the lobby. The doors opened. Jae-hyun stepped out with her, desperate now. Because if I fight my father, I lose everything. My position, my inheritance, my family name. But more than that, I lose my ability to protect the people who depend on me. Who? My sister. Jae-hyun. She's 21, studying at university. And he stopped, the words caught somewhere painful. She's gay. Openly. She thinks I don't know, but I do. And the only reason my father hasn't crushed her the way he crushed me is because I'm the obedient son. I do everything he asks. I marry who he chooses. I become the heir he wants. In exchange, he leaves her alone. Zara felt her anger deflate slightly. That's not your responsibility. She's my baby's sister. Of course it's my responsibility. So you sacrifice your entire life for hers? If that's what it takes. His eyes met hers, pleading for understanding. I can't be selfish. Not when the cost is paid by someone I love. They stood in the empty lobby, night cleaning crew working around them, the weight of impossible choices hanging between them. I should hate you, Zara said finally. For making me care. For making me believe in possibility and then showing me exactly why it's impossible. I hate myself enough for both of us. She laughed, broken. That's the saddest thing you've ever said. I have a lot of sad things. He reached out, fingers brushing her cheek. But Friday night? That wasn't sad. That was the first real thing I've done in 7 years. And Saturday morning? Saturday morning I remembered why real things are dangerous. Zara stepped back, breaking contact. Go home, Jae-hyun. Go back to your fiancé and your scripted life. I release you from whatever guilt brought you here. I don't want to be released. I want. What? Another night where you can pretend to be someone you're not? Another few stolen hours before you go back to your cage? She shook her head. I deserve better than stolen. I deserve chosen. And until you're brave enough to choose something for yourself, we don't have anything to talk about. She walked toward the exit. Zara. She stopped but didn't turn. If things were different. They're not. And if is just another word for never. She pushed through the doors into the Seoul night, rain soaking through her jacket within seconds. Behind her, Jae-hyun stood alone in the lobby, watching her disappear into the downpour. His phone buzzed. His father, tomorrow 8 a.m. Wedding planning meeting. Don't be late. He looked at the message, then at the door Zara had walked through. Then he typed back, I'll be there. Some prisons, he thought, didn't have keys. They had casualties. Wednesday morning, Zara arrived at work to find her computer access revoked. A security guard waited by her desk. Miss Williams? Chairman Kim would like to see you. Now. This is getting intense and I want to hear your opinions. Comment below, would you sacrifice your happiness for your family? Or is Zara right, is Jae-hyun just too comfortable in his cage? Let me know your thoughts. Let's continue. Chairman Kim's office occupied the entire top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul like a kingdom, which was probably the point. He didn't look up when the security guard ushered Zara inside. "Miss Williams." "Sit." She remained standing. "I prefer to stand for terminations." That got his attention. He set down his pen, leaning back in his leather chair with the expression of a man who'd crushed better people before breakfast. Termination. Interesting assumption. He gestured to a folder on his desk. "I've been reviewing your work. Impressive credentials. Howard University, top of your marketing class, 3 years at a Fortune 500 before moving to Seoul. You could work anywhere. So why here? Is there a point to this?" "The point, Miss Williams, is understanding what motivates people. Money? Ambition? Or perhaps," his eyes sharpened, "something more personal?" The air in the room felt thinner. "You've taken an unusual interest in my son. I've taken a professional interest in not having my campaigns killed for arbitrary reasons. Don't insult my intelligence." The gala. His penthouse. "My son came home looking like someone had shown him a life he can't have." Chairman Kim stood, moving to the windows. "I've spent 30 years building this empire. Do you know what that requires? Sacrifice. Discipline. The ability to destroy anything that threatens what you've built." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact." He turned to face her. "My son has a responsibility to this family, to this company, to generations of legacy. You are a distraction. A beautiful, ambitious distraction, but a distraction nonetheless." Zara's hands clenched. "Your son is a human being, not a chess piece. My son is the heir to a $5 billion empire. Those two things are incompatible." Chairman Kim moved closer, his voice dropping. "I know about Paris. I know about Alexander. I know that my son has certain inclinations that are incompatible with his role. I've managed those inclinations before. I will manage them again." "Managed? You mean destroyed?" "I mean protected him from himself. From making choices that would destroy everything we've built." His smile was ice. "You think you're different? Special? You're not. You're just newer. And like everything new, the shine will wear off." "Is that what you tell yourself when you terrorize your own children?" The temperature in the room plummeted. "Careful, Miss Williams. You're standing in my office, in my building, living in my country on a work visa that I could have revoked with one phone call. Then do it. Fire me. Deport me. Whatever makes you feel powerful." Zara stepped closer, refusing to be intimidated. "But understand something. Your son. He's suffocating under your expectations. And one day, he's going to wake up and realize that your approval isn't worth the cost of his soul." Poetic. Also naive. Chairman Kim returned to his desk. "I'm not firing you, Miss Williams. That would make you a martyr. Instead, you're being promoted. Executive Director of International Marketing. Based in our Singapore office. Effective immediately. Congratulations." The trap snapped shut. "I'm not going to Singapore. The alternative is termination without severance, and I guarantee no hotel company in Asia will hire you afterward. Your choice." Zara's mind raced. Singapore meant exile. Meant never seeing Jae-hyun again. Which was probably the point. "I need time to think. You have until Friday to accept or decline." "That's 2 days." He picked up his pen, dismissing her. "Oh, and Miss Williams? Stay away from my son. Consider that a professional suggestion." Zara stormed through the executive floor, barely seeing where she was going until she collided with someone. Jae-hyun. Jae-hyun's younger sister. "Sorry, Jae-hyun stopped, recognition flickering. "You're Zara Williams. Marketing Director." Up close, the family resemblance was striking. Same sharp cheekbones, same intelligent eyes. But where Jae-hyun carried himself with controlled tension, Jae-hyun radiated defiant energy. Short hair dyed burgundy, leather jacket over a band t-shirt, multiple ear piercings. That's me. Soon to be Singapore's problem. Singapore? Jae-hyun's eyebrows rose. Let me guess. My father's special brand of promotion? You could say that. Jae-hyun glanced around the hallway, then lowered her voice. Coffee? There's a place 2 blocks away where nobody from the company goes. 20 minutes later, they sat in a cramped cafe that smelled like espresso and rebellion. My father ruins things, Jae-hyun said without preamble. It's his superpower. Anything that makes people happy, he finds a way to destroy it. Speaking from experience? My girlfriend is currently studying in Australia because my father found out about us. Offered her family money to send her away. They took it. Jae-hyun's smile was bitter. 3 years together. Gone in 72 hours. Zara's stomach turned. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm used to it. My father collects casualties like trophies. She studied Zara over her coffee cup. You slept with my brother. Zara nearly choked on her latte. How? Please. I've known Jae-hyun my whole life. He's been walking around looking like someone reminded him he's human. That only happens when he connects with someone. Jae-hyun leaned forward. What I can't figure out is why he's letting father send you away. Usually he puts up at least a token fight. He's protecting you. The words hung between them. Jae-hyun's expression shifted, confusion, then understanding, then anger. Explain. Zara hesitated, then decided the truth was owed. He told me the only reason your father leaves you alone is because he's the obedient son. He does everything Chairman Kim demands in exchange for your freedom. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He thinks. I know what he thinks. He thinks I need protecting. Like I'm some delicate flower who can't handle father's disapproval. Jae-hyun's hands clenched around her cup. He doesn't know that father already threatened me. Last year, when he found out about Jean told me if I didn't end it quietly, he'd destroy her family's business. So I ended it. I didn't run to my brother for protection. I handled it. Does Jae-hyun know? No. Because I know my brother. If he knew, he'd try to fix it, which would make everything worse. So I let him think his obedience is protecting me, when really, we're both just surviving separately. Zara felt something crack in her chest. Your family is destroying each other out of love. Welcome to the Kim family. Where loyalty is a weapon and love is a trap. Jae-hyun signaled for another coffee. So what are you going to do? Run to Singapore and let my father win? What choice do I have? You fight. You make noise. You refuse to go quietly. Jae-hyun's eyes blazed. Someone has to break the cycle. Why not you? Because I'm just the marketing director. I don't have power here. No, but you have something better. You have my brother's attention. And that terrifies my father more than any amount of power. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos until she found one. Look. The image showed Jae-hyun at maybe 24, in Paris, laughing with a man who had to be Alexander. Both of them looked impossibly young and happy. Alexander sent this to me right before he disappeared. Asked me to hold on to it, in case Jae-hyun ever needed to remember who he used to be. Jae-hyun's voice softened. My brother was happy once. Actually, genuinely happy. Then father ripped it away so completely that Jae-hyun forgot happiness was even an option. I can't fix that. Maybe not. But you can remind him it exists. She forwarded the photo to Zara's phone. Don't go to Singapore. Don't let father add you to his trophy case of destroyed futures. Your brother already chose his cage. Then make him choose again. And again. Until he realizes the door was never actually locked. That evening, Zara sat in her apartment surrounded by half-packed boxes, staring at the photo Jae-hyun had sent. Young Jae-hyun, laughing. Unguarded. Free. She pulled up Alexander's website again, found his email, and started typing before she could overthink it. Mr. Rousseau, you don't know me, but I know someone you used to know. I have questions about Paris, 7 years ago, and a man named Kim Jae-hyun. If you're willing to talk, I'm willing to listen. She hit send before courage failed her. Her phone buzzed 5 minutes later. Unknown number. Stop. Please. It took me years to forget. Don't make me remember. Zara stared at the message, guilt twisting her stomach. Then another message, but if you're asking, it means he's still in that prison. Tell him Alexander says the door was always unlocked. He just had to be brave enough to open it. No other messages came. Thursday morning brought an unexpected summons. Not from Chairman Kim. From Lee.
So,
Min. They met at an upscale French restaurant, the kind of place where lunch cost more than Zara's monthly car payment.
So,
Min was already seated, immaculate in Dior, studying the wine list like it held state secrets. Miss Williams. You came. You said it was urgent. Everything is urgent when you're plotting an escape.
So,
Min ordered wine without asking if Zara wanted any. I assume Chairman Kim gave you his Singapore or death speech? How did you? Because he gave me a similar speech when I was 19. Except mine was to marry Jae-hyun or watch your father's company collapse. I chose marriage. You're choosing Singapore. We're both choosing survival over freedom. Zara sat back. Why am I here?
So,
Min waited until the waiter poured their wine and left before speaking. Because I'm tired of pretending. Tired of performing the role of the perfect fiancé to a man who looks at me like a prison sentence. Tired of watching everyone suffer under Chairman Kim's control while pretending this is normal. Then leave. And go where? Do what? My entire life has been structured around this merger. My family's business depends on it. I have no career, no independence, no identity outside of being Lee.
So,
Min, perfect wife-to-be. That's not true. You're... What? Accomplished? At what? Looking beautiful at charity galas? Representing brands that pay me to smile? Everything I am exists because of my family name and this engagement.
So,
Min's perfect composure cracked slightly. You think you're trapped? At least you have skills, a career, options. I have a ring and a wedding date. Zara felt unexpected sympathy. So what's the urgent part?
So,
Min pulled out her phone, showing Zara a series of text messages. From an unknown number, you don't have to do this. There are other ways. Meet me. Please. The messages were dated over the past 3 months. Dozens of them. Who is this? Her name is Park Min-ji. We met at a charity event last year. She's a human rights lawyer, which should tell you everything about how incompatible she is with my scripted life.
So,
Min's voice softened. She's everything I want and everything I can't have. Does Jae-hyun know? About Min-ji? No. But he knows I don't love him. We've both accepted that our marriage is a transaction. What he doesn't know is that I'm considering breaking the contract. Zara leaned forward. How? By telling the truth. Publicly. At the engagement dinner.
So,
Min met her eyes. Chairman Kim is hosting a formal dinner Friday night. All the major shareholders, family members, press. He's planning to announce accelerated wedding plans. June is now April. 2 months instead of 4. Why are you telling me this? Because if I'm going to blow up my entire life, I'd rather not do it alone. And because Jae-hyun deserves to know someone is fighting for him, even if he's too scared to fight for himself.
So,
Min smiled sadly. You love him. Don't bother denying it. I've seen the way you say his name. Like it costs you something. Zara's throat tightened. Love isn't enough when he won't choose it. Then make him choose. At the dinner. In front of everyone. Force him to decide if he's going to spend his entire life as his father's puppet or finally be his own person. That's insane. It's the only way. Chairman Kim's power comes from secrecy, from controlling the narrative. You expose the truth publicly, with witnesses, and he can't make you disappear quietly. He'll destroy me anyway. Probably. But at least you'll go down fighting instead of running to Singapore with your tail between your legs.
So,
Min finished her wine. The dinner is Friday at 7. Kim family estate in Gangnam. I'll make sure you're on the list. What you do with the invitation is up to you. She stood, leaving money on the table. For what it's worth.
So,
Min said quietly, I hope you're brave enough to do what I should have done years ago. Choose truth over comfort. She left Zara sitting alone with an invitation to commit career suicide. Thursday night, Zara went to the office. She needed to see him. Needed to know if any part of the man from that night was still accessible, or if Chairman Kim had successfully rebuilt all the walls. His office was dark except for the desk lamp. Jae-hyun sat behind his desk, tie loosened, looking exhausted. She knocked on the open door. He looked up, surprise flickering across his features before the mask returned. You shouldn't be here. Your father offered me Singapore. I know. I recommended it. The words landed like a physical blow. You, what? Jae-hyun stood, moving to the window. Singapore is a great opportunity. Better pay, better title, better. Stop lying. Zara's voice shook. Just for once, stop performing the script your father wrote and tell me the truth. The truth is you need to leave. For your own good. My own good? Or your peace of mind? She crossed the room, forcing him to look at her. Your sister knows. About the sacrifice you think you're making. She told me about.
So,
Jean, about handling your father on her own. You're not protecting her. You're just using her as an excuse to stay comfortable in your cage. Pain flashed across his face. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Explain how marrying a woman you don't love, living a lie for the rest of your life, and sending me away is better than fighting for something real. Because fighting means losing. It means my father destroys everything I care about, including you. His control finally cracked. He did it to Alexander. He did it to Jae-hyun's girlfriend. He will do it to you, and I can't. His voice broke. I can't watch him destroy you. I can't be the reason your career ends, your visa gets revoked, your life gets dismantled piece by piece. So yes, I recommended Singapore because at least there you'd be safe from him. From me. From this entire mess. Zara felt tears burning behind her eyes. You think sending me away is protecting me? It's just another form of surrender. Call it what you want. At least you'll be alive and whole and far away from the Kim family's destruction. And you? You get to marry.
So,
Min and pretend to be happy for the next 50 years? I get to make sure no one else pays for my mistakes. I'm not a mistake. She stepped closer, close enough to feel his breath. What we shared wasn't a mistake. And if you can look me in the eye and tell me you felt nothing, that Friday night meant nothing, then I'll go to Singapore and never bother you again. He stared at her, jaw working, hands clenched at his sides. Say it, she whispered. Tell me it meant nothing. The silence stretched. Then, I can't. Then fight. For once in your life, choose something for yourself. And destroy everything in the process? Maybe some things deserve to be destroyed. Your father's control. This fake engagement. The prison you've built out of obligation and fear. She cupped his face, forcing him to maintain eye contact. You told me Alexander made you feel alive. You told me I did the same. When does your life become more important than your father's approval? He closed his eyes, leaning into her touch like a man starving for contact. Friday, he whispered. The engagement dinner. My father is announcing we're moving the wedding to April. I know.
So?
Min told me. His eyes snapped open. She told you? She's planning to blow up her own life at that dinner. Tell the truth about your arrangement, about being forced into this marriage, about everything. Zara's heart pounded. I'm going to be there. And you're going to have to choose, in front of everyone, whether you're going to keep living your father's script or finally write your own story. Zara, you can't. If you show up, my father will. I don't care what your father does. I'm done being afraid of men who use power as a weapon. She stepped back, toward the door. The question is, are you done? Or are you going to watch everyone else fight your battles while you stand there and obey? She left before he could answer, before she could see if her words had landed, before the tears she'd been holding back could fall. In his office, alone again, Jae-hyun sank into his chair. His phone buzzed. A message from Jae-hyun. I told her everything. About.
So?
Jean, about father's threats, about you using me as an excuse. If you marry.
So?
Min, you're doing it for yourself. Not for me. Choose accordingly. Another message, this time from an unknown number, Friday night. 7 p.m. The whole world will be watching. Time to decide if you're Kim Jae-hyun the puppet, or Kim Jae-hyun the man. No pressure.
So?
Min. He looked at the framed photo on his desk. Him and.
So?
Min, smiling for cameras, playing their parts perfectly. He picked up the frame and threw it across the room. The glass shattered, scattering across the floor like all his carefully constructed lies. His computer pinged with an email. From Alexander, forwarded through Jae-hyun. I heard you're getting married. To a woman you don't love, for a family that doesn't see you. I ran because I wasn't strong enough to fight your father. Don't make the same mistake. Don't let fear win. You deserve a life, Jae-hyun. Not an existence. Be braver than I was. A. Jae-hyun read the email 3 times. Then he opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small velvet box he'd kept hidden for 7 years. Inside, a simple silver ring. The one Alexander had given him in Paris. Choose freedom, Alexander had said when he gave it to him. Promise me you'll choose freedom. Jae-hyun had promised. Then broken that promise the moment things got difficult. He slipped the ring onto his finger for the first time in 7 years. It still fit. Outside his window, Seoul glittered with possibility and danger. Friday was less than 24 hours away. Who's ready for this dinner? Drop a fire emoji if you think Jae-hyun finally finds his courage. Drop a broken heart if you think he breaks everyone's heart instead. Comment below. Friday arrived with the weight of an execution. Zara stood in her apartment at 5 p.m., staring at the black dress hanging on her closet door. Elegant, expensive, borrowed from her friend Amara who'd asked 0 questions when Zara said she needed armor for battle. Her phone buzzed. Amara, whatever you're about to do, make sure it's worth it. Love you. Another text. Jae-hyun, car service picking you up at 6:30. You're listed as my +1. Father will have a stroke when he sees you, which honestly makes this all worthwhile. Zara typed back, you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. Time to burn it all down. At 6:30 exactly, a black Mercedes pulled up. The driver opened the door without comment, and Zara climbed inside with the distinct feeling she was riding toward her own funeral. The Kim family estate sprawled across 2 acres in Gangnam, all traditional architecture mixed with modern excess. Security waved them through gates that probably cost more than most houses. Inside, the main hall glittered with crystal and old money. Shareholders in tailored suits, socialites in designer gowns, journalists with cameras that cost more than Zara's yearly salary. Everyone who mattered in Seoul's business elite packed into one room to celebrate a marriage nobody wanted except the man orchestrating it. Zara spotted
So?
Min immediately. Stunning in white Valentino, playing her role perfectly, but her eyes held the manic energy of someone about to set herself on fire just to feel warm. Their eyes met across the room.
So?
Min raised her champagne glass in silent salute. Then Zara saw him. Jae-hyun stood beside his father, immaculate in a black tuxedo, face carefully blank. But something was different. His posture, maybe. The set of his shoulders. Like he was bracing for impact instead of surrendering to inevitability. Their eyes locked. The room disappeared. Whatever she saw in his expression made her heart stutter of fear, determination, and something that looked dangerously like hope. Chairman Kim noticed the exchange. His expression darkened as he recognized Zara, then shifted to fury as he spotted Jae-hyun emerging from the crowd to stand beside her. "What," he said in a voice that could cut glass, "is she doing here?" "She's my guest," Jae-hyun announced loudly enough for nearby guests to turn. "Problem, father?" The room's attention swiveled toward them like a spotlight. Chairman Kim's smile never wavered, but his eyes promised murder. "Of course not. How wonderful that you're expanding your social circle, Jae-hyun. Miss Williams, welcome." The word welcome sounded like a threat. Dinner was announced before the standoff could escalate. Zara found herself seated at a table with Jae-hyun, several board members she recognized, and uncomfortably close to the main table where Jae-hyun sat between his father and
So?
Min. The meal proceeded with excruciating formality. 7 courses, each more elaborate than the last, all of it tasting like expensive cardboard. Between the 4th and 5th courses, Chairman Kim stood. The room fell silent. "Thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate not just an engagement, but a merger of 2 great families. Kim Hotel Group and Lee Industries together represent the future of Korean hospitality and innovation." Polite applause. Cameras flashing. "My son Jae-hyun has always understood the importance of duty, of family legacy, of sacrifice for the greater good." And Lee.
So?
Min embodies everything we could hope for in a daughter-in-law's grace, intelligence, impeccable breeding. Zara's hands clenched under the table. Beside her, Jae-hyun muttered, "He's talking about her like she's a show dog." "Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that the wedding has been moved forward. Not June, as originally planned, but April 15th. 6 weeks from now." The room erupted in surprised murmurs.
So?
Min's face remained perfectly composed, but Zara saw her grip tighten on her champagne glass. Jae-hyun's expression never changed. 6 weeks to celebrate the union of 2 dynasties, Chairman Kim continued. To solidify a partnership that will shape Korean business for generations. "My son," he placed a hand on Jae-hyun's shoulder, proprietary and suffocating, "understands that personal desires must sometimes yield to greater responsibilities. That's what separates leaders from followers. Vision. Sacrifice. The courage to put legacy before." "Stop." The word cut through the room like a gunshot. Jae-hyun stood, his father's hand falling away. "I can't do this." The silence was deafening. Chairman Kim's smile froze. "Jae-hyun. Sit down." "No." His voice was quiet but carried to every corner of the room. "I'm done sitting down. Done standing up on command. Done being whatever you need me to be instead of who I actually am." Cameras swiveled toward him. Journalists scrambled for notepads. "This is not the time or place," Chairman Kim's voice held a warning. "When is the time? When I'm standing at an altar lying to everyone including myself? When I'm 50 and realize I spent my entire life performing a role you wrote?" Jae-hyun turned to face the room, face pale but resolute. "I'm gay." The room exploded. Zara's heart stopped. "I'm gay," Jae-hyun repeated, louder now. "Or bisexual." Or something that doesn't fit neatly into the labels my father finds acceptable. I don't know exactly what I am, but I know what I'm not. I'm not straight. I'm not in love with
So?
Min. And I'm not going to marry her.
So?
Min stood, and for a moment Zara thought she'd slap him. Instead, she started clapping. Slow, deliberate applause that cut through the chaos. Finally.
So?
Min said. Someone in this room tells the truth. She turned to face the cameras, the board members, the society elite who looked like they'd stumbled into a car crash. I'm gay too. Have been my entire life. This marriage? She gestured between herself and Jae-hyun. It's a business arrangement. Always has been. Two families forcing their queer children to play straight for the cameras because God forbid we embarrass them by being who we actually are. The room descended into chaos. Cameras flashing, voices rising, shareholders looking at Chairman Kim like he just detonated a bomb. Which, technically, his son and future daughter-in-law had. Chairman Kim's face had gone purple. This is unacceptable. Jae-hyun.
So?
Min, you will both. We'll both what? Jae-hyun stepped away from the main table, moving toward the center of the room. Continue lying? Continue pretending? You did this once before, father. Paris. 7 years ago. You destroyed my relationship with Alexander because it didn't fit your vision of what a Kim heir should be. He pulled something from his pocket. The silver ring. He gave me this. Told me to choose freedom. I chose you instead. Chose obedience. Chose the script you wrote. And for 7 years, I've been dying inside, piece by piece, until I forgot what it felt like to actually want something. His eyes found Zara's across the room. Until recently. Chairman Kim followed his son's gaze. When he saw Zara, understanding and rage washed over his features. Her. This is about that marketing director. You're destroying everything for some woman you've known for 5 minutes? No. Jae-hyun's voice was steel. I'm destroying the prison you built and called it love. I'm done being your puppet. Done sacrificing my life for your legacy. Done pretending that obedience and happiness are the same thing. He walked toward Zara's table. The crowd parted like water. I should have fought for Alexander. Should have gotten on a plane and found him instead of accepting your money and your threats and your control. He stopped in front of Zara, the entire room watching. I should have done a lot of things differently. But I'm doing this right. He held out his hand. Zara stared at him, at this man who was committing social suicide in front of Seoul's elite, and felt everything inside her crack open. Your father is going to destroy you, she whispered. Probably. But at least I'll be myself while he does it. She took his hand. The room erupted again, camera flashes, shocked gasps, delighted scandal spreading like wildfire. Chairman Kim's voice cut through the chaos, security. Escort Miss Williams out. Now. Touch her and I walk out with her, Jae-hyun said flatly. And I take every piece of leverage I have about your business practices, your blackmail, your destruction of Alexander's life, and I give it to every journalist in this room. His father froze. You wouldn't dare. Try me. For the first time in Zara's experience, Chairman Kim looked uncertain. Then Jae-hyun stepped forward, phone held high, recording. I'm getting all of this, by the way. Father threatening people, Jae-hyun standing up to him, the whole beautiful disaster. Should I post it now or wait until we're done? You ungrateful. Queer daughter? Jae-hyun finished sweetly. Yes, I am. And unlike my brother, I didn't waste 7 years pretending otherwise.
So?
Jean says hello, by the way. She's in Australia getting her degree in women's studies and sending you a very specific finger gesture. The room had descended into complete chaos. Shareholders arguing, journalists recording, socialites gossiping with gleeful horror.
So?
Min's parents approached, her mother's face a mask of fury. You've humiliated us. Destroyed our family's reputation. No.
So?
Min interrupted. You destroyed my life by forcing me into an arrangement I never wanted. I'm done being your show pony. Minji is waiting outside. I'm leaving with her. Sue me if you want, but I'm done. She walked toward the exit, heels clicking with finality. At the door, she turned back to Jae-hyun and Zara. For what it's worth. You two are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Possibly both. Good luck. She left, and Zara heard a woman's voice from the hallway.
So?
Min? Are you? I'm free. Finally free. Let's go. Back in the chaos, Chairman Kim had recovered enough to point at Jae-hyun. You walk out that door, you lose everything. Your position, your inheritance, your name. You will have nothing. I'll have myself. That's more than I've had in 7 years. And her. He gestured at Zara with contempt. You think this is love? You're just replacing one person with another, still running from who you actually are. Zara felt Jae-hyun's hand tighten on hers. You're wrong, he said quietly. I'm not running anymore. And yes, I care about Zara. But this isn't about replacing Alexander or proving something to you. This is about finally being honest. About my sexuality, about my choices, about wanting a life instead of an existence. He turned to Zara. I don't know what we are yet. I don't know if what I feel is love or desperation or just relief at finally feeling something real. But I know I'm done lying. Done hiding. If you want to figure this out with me, I'm asking. If you want to run very far away from this disaster, I understand that too. The entire room waited for her answer. Zara looked at this man who just detonated his entire life in front of Seoul's elite. Who'd chosen truth over comfort, freedom over security, possibility over the familiar prison. Your timing is terrible, she said. Your family is a nightmare. And we're probably going to regret this. Probably. But I didn't come here to watch. I came here to fight. She squeezed his hand. So let's figure it out. Together. She kissed him in front of everyone, cameras, shareholders, his father's murderous rage, all of it. When they broke apart, Jae-hyun was whooping, several younger guests were applauding, and Chairman Kim looked like he might actually have a stroke. You're both fired, he snarled. Effective immediately. Security, remove them from my property. Our property, a voice said from the entrance. Everyone turned. An elderly woman stood in the doorway, elegant in traditional hanbok, leaning on a carved cane. Jae-hyun's face drained of color. Grandmother. Kim Sun-hee, the family matriarch and actual founder of Kim Hotel Group, surveyed the chaos with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I leave you alone for 5 minutes and you turn my anniversary dinner into a circus, she said, moving into the room with surprising speed for someone in her 80s. Fascinating. Chairman Kim straightened. Mother, this is not. Quiet. I'm talking. She stopped in front of Jae-hyun, studying him with an intensity that made Zara want to step between them. You told the truth. Yes, grandmother. About your sexuality. About the arranged marriage. About your father's control. Yes. In front of everyone. Destroying our carefully crafted image. Embarrassing your father and this family. Jae-hyun's jaw set. Yes. I did. She nodded slowly. Good. The room went silent. Good. Chairman Kim sputtered. Mother, he just. I heard what he did. I also heard what you did. Destroyed that boy's relationship in Paris. Blackmailed his partner. Threatened your own children into compliance. Sun-hee's voice was ice. Did you think I didn't know? That I wouldn't find out? I'm old, not stupid. She turned to address the room. 40 years ago, I built this company with nothing but ambition and a loan I had no business getting. I fought every man who told me a woman couldn't run a hotel empire. And I won. Not because I pretended to be something I wasn't. But because I refused to let anyone else define who I could be. Her gaze landed on Jae-hyun. My grandson just did the same thing. He chose authenticity over image. Truth over comfort. That takes more courage than any of you have shown in your entire lives. But the shareholders, someone protested. The shareholders can adapt or leave. This company was built on innovation and courage. Not on forcing children to live lies for the sake of appearances. Son, he tapped her cane for emphasis. Effective immediately, I'm resuming control of Kim Hotel Group. Chairman Kim is stepping down. You can't, her son started. I can and I am. The board bylaws give me that right, which you'd remember if you'd read them instead of assuming your position was secure. She smiled without warmth. Consider it early retirement. Spend some time reflecting on how you turned family loyalty into a cage. Chairman Kim looked like he'd been slapped. Around the room, board members were already murmuring, phones coming out, the power dynamics shifting in real time. Sun-hee turned to Jae-hyun and Zara. You too. Come with me. Everyone else, she gestured vaguely at the chaos, party's over. Go home. We'll release a statement Monday about the company's new direction. She walked toward a side door, clearly expecting them to follow. Jae-hyun looked at Zara. She shrugged. They followed. Sun-hee led them to a private study, closing the door on the chaos. She settled into a leather chair with a sigh. Sit. They sat. She studied them for a long moment. I'm not going to pretend this isn't a mess. It is. The press will be brutal. Conservative shareholders will revolt. Your father, she nodded at Jae-hyun, will make your life as difficult as possible. I know, grandmother. But. Her expression softened fractionally. You did what I should have let you do 7 years ago. And I'm sorry I didn't intervene then. I knew about Paris. Knew about Alexander. I thought you'd fight for him. When you didn't, I assumed you'd made your choice. I was scared. I know. Fear makes cowards of us all. She turned to Zara. You. Marketing director. The one who started this mess. That's me, Zara said, lifting her chin. You love him? The directness was startling. We barely know each other. That's not what I asked. Zara looked at Jae-hyun, at this man who just sacrificed everything because she'd challenged him to be brave. I don't know yet. But I want the chance to find out. Sun-hee nodded approvingly. Honest. I like that. Better than these fools who confuse arrangement with affection. She stood, moving to a cabinet and pulling out a folder. This is Alexander's contact information. Current, as of last week. I've been keeping track. Jae-hyun stood so fast his chair fell backward. What? I'm old, not heartless. That boy loved you. Your father destroyed it. I thought someday you might want to find him. Maybe apologize. Maybe find closure. She handed him the folder. He's in Montreal now. Photography studio. Married to a chef. Very happy, according to my sources. Jae-hyun stared at the folder like it might bite him. He moved on, Sun-hee continued. The way you should have been allowed to. The way you can now. She looked between them. But first, you two need to figure out what you actually want. A relationship? A friendship? Just closure from whatever started at that gala? I don't know, Jae-hyun admitted. I just know I'm done lying. About everything. Then start with the truth. All of it. Who you are, what you want, what scares you. Sun-hee moved toward the door. I'm giving you both the weekend. No press, no family, no pressure. Monday, we deal with the fallout. But tonight? Tonight you figure out if this is real or just rebellion. Both of you. She opened the door, then paused. Jae-hyun. Your grandfather was bisexual. Never acted on it because it was a different time, different expectations. But he told me once that living half a life was worse than dying whole. Don't make his mistakes. Don't make mine. Be brave enough to be completely yourself. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Zara and Jae-hyun sat in the sudden silence, the weight of everything that had just happened crashing down. Did that really just happen? Zara asked finally. I think so. I'm not entirely sure I'm not having a psychotic break. If you are, it's contagious. He laughed, slightly hysterical. I just came out to all of Seoul's business elite. Ended my engagement. Got my father demoted. And my grandmother just gave me my ex-boyfriend's phone number. How are you feeling? He thought about it. Terrified. Exhilarated. Like I might vomit. All of the above. That's fair. Zara stood, moving to the window. Outside, cars were leaving, the dinner party disbanded, tomorrow's scandal driving away into the Seoul night. What do you want to do now? Honestly? He stood, joining her at the window. I want to leave. Go somewhere quiet. Figure out who the hell I am without my father's script. Where? My grandmother has a house in Busan. On the beach. She said once I could use it whenever I needed to disappear. He turned to face her. Come with me. Not as a date or a relationship or anything defined. Just, come with me while I figure out what being free actually means. Zara studied him, this man who'd just blown up his entire life because she'd challenged him to be brave. Who was looking at her now with naked vulnerability, no walls, no masks, just Jae-hyun. I need to pack a bag. We can leave tonight. Be there by midnight. Then let's go. They slipped out through the side entrance, avoiding the remaining guests and journalists. Jae-hyun's car was in the private garage, keys still in his jacket pocket. As they drove away from the estate, Seoul's lights spreading before them, Jae-hyun reached over and took her hand. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For not letting me keep hiding. For being brave enough to fight when I was too scared. For showing me that the cage door was never actually locked. Zara squeezed his hand. We're going to figure this out. Whatever this is. But Jae-hyun? No more scripts. No more performing. If we do this, whatever this becomes, it has to be real. Messy and complicated and real. Deal. 3 hours later, they arrived at a small beach house overlooking the East Sea. Inside, they collapsed on the couch, still in their formal clothes, exhausted and exhilarated. Jae-hyun pulled out the folder his grandmother had given him. Alexander's information. Are you going to call him? Zara asked. Eventually. Not to get him back. Just to apologize. Thank him. Tell him that what he tried to teach me about freedom finally stuck. He set the folder aside. But not tonight. Tonight I just want to be here. Be honest. Be whoever I'm supposed to be without my father's voice in my head. Who are you without that voice? He thought about it. I have no idea. That's terrifying and exciting, Anne. She kissed him, cutting off the spiral of anxiety. When they broke apart, he smiled, genuine, unguarded, free. We're going to mess this up, he said. Probably multiple times. My father is going to make our lives hell. Looking forward to it. I don't know if what I feel for you is love or gratitude or... Jae-hyun. Stop talking. He did. Outside, the ocean whispered against the shore. Inside, two people who'd just destroyed their carefully constructed lives curled up together and, for the first time, chose the terrifying freedom of being completely themselves. Drop your favorite moment in the comments. Team Grandma Kim for saving the day? Team.
So,
Min for walking out? Team Jae-hyun for recording everything? Let me know. And subscribe because the real battle is just beginning. The first photograph hit the internet at 6:47 a.m. Saturday morning. Jae-hyun, mid-confession at the dinner, face raw with emotion. Caption in Korean and English, Hotel Heir's shocking revelation, I'm gay. By 7 a.m., it had been shared 50,000 times. By 8 a.m., every major news outlet in South Korea was running the story. Zara woke to her phone vibrating off the nightstand. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, Jae-hyun's jacket draped over her like a blanket, still in her dress from the night before. Jae-hyun was already awake, sitting at the window overlooking the ocean, his phone dark and face down on the table beside him. You've seen it, Zara said, not a question. All of it. Every angle, every photograph, every headline. His voice was eerily calm. They're calling it the biggest scandal in Korean business history. Some articles are supportive. Most are not. He handed her his tablet. She scrolled through the headlines, each one worse than the last. Kim Heir's gay confession shocks conservative shareholders. Wedding cancelled, Lee Industries stock plummets. Breaking, Kim Hotel Group in crisis after Heir's announcement. Traditional values versus modern reality, the Kim family implosion. But there were others too. Finally free, Kim Jae-hyun's brave stand for authenticity. LGBTQ+ activists praise Hotel Heir's public coming out. Love over legacy, young Koreans celebrate Kim's choice. The photographs were everywhere. Jae-hyun's face as he announced the truth.
So?
Min clapping, defiant and free. The kiss between Jae-hyun and Zara that had stopped time. And in several shots, visible in the background, Chairman Kim's face, purple with rage. There's more, Jae-hyun said quietly. He pulled up a different article. The headline made Zara's blood run cold, Kim Hotel Group marketing director under investigation, corporate espionage allegations surface. The article claimed she'd stolen proprietary information, shared confidential strategies with competitors, and engaged in inappropriate relationships with senior management for professional advancement. It was all lies. Carefully crafted, legally worded lies. My father works fast, Jae-hyun said, voice hollow. When he can't control the narrative, he destroys it. And everyone in it. Zara's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Miss Williams. A cold, professional voice. This is Immigration Services. Your work visa has been flagged for review due to allegations of misconduct. You're required to appear for a hearing Monday at 9 a.m. Failure to appear will result in immediate deportation proceedings. The line went dead. Zara stared at her phone, the reality crashing down. He's going to deport me. No. He's not. Jae-hyun stood, suddenly energized. My grandmother has lawyers. Good ones. We fight this. With what evidence? He's the chairman of, she stopped. Wait. Your grandmother demoted him last night. He's not chairman anymore. Technically. But he still has allies, shareholders who owe him favors, judges he's paid off over 30 years. Jae-hyun ran a hand through his hair. He's not going to just accept losing. He's going to burn everything down and call it justice. Zara's phone exploded with notifications. Text messages, emails, calls from numbers she didn't recognize. One from Mina, her assistant, Zara, don't come to the office. Security has been told to deny you access. I'm so sorry. Another from Amara, I'm seeing the photos. Are you okay? Where are you? Call me. And one from a number saved as, do not answer, you've made your choice. Now live with the consequences. Chairman Kim. He's threatening me directly now, Zara showed Jae-hyun the message. Before he could respond, his own phone rang. Jae-hyun. He put it on speaker. Tell me. Father just left the estate with a legal team. He's filing an emergency injunction to freeze grandmother's authority change. Claims she's mentally incompetent due to age. It's bullshit, but he's got 3 board members backing him. Can he actually do that? He can try. It'll tie everything up in court for months. Meanwhile, he's still acting chairman until it's resolved. Jae-hyun's voice hardened. He also just called me. Said if I don't publicly denounce your embarrassing display and return to family values, he's cutting off my university funding and kicking me out of the family home. Jae-hyun. Relax. I told him to go fuck himself in 3 languages. I'm moving in with friends. Already packing. A pause. But Jae-hyun? He's serious. He's going full scorched earth. Anyone who stood with you last night is getting burned. After they hung up, Zara moved to the window, watching the ocean crash against the rocks. Peaceful. Indifferent. The world kept turning while their lives imploded. I should leave, she said quietly. Go back to the States. Let the visa thing resolve itself by just disappearing. No. Jae-hyun, I'm making everything worse. Your father is using me as ammunition. If I'm gone. If you're gone, he wins. He gets to control the narrative, paint you as the foreign temptress who corrupted his son, and I go back to being his puppet because I'll have proven I can't handle real decisions. Jae-hyun crossed to her, turning her to face him. I didn't blow up my entire life just to let you run away at the first sign of trouble. This isn't trouble. This is a declaration of war. Then we fight. Together. The way you said we would. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a video message from an unknown number. She opened it, and her stomach dropped. The video showed her apartment building. Her car in the parking lot. A close-up of her mailbox with her full name and address visible. No message. Just the silent threat, we know where you live. Jesus Christ, Jae-hyun breathed. He's having you followed. Photographed. He's trying to scare me. Is it working? Honestly?
Yeah.
Another message came through. This time with text, your visa hearing Monday. I'll be there. Let's discuss your future in Korea. Or lack thereof. Chairman Kim. Zara's hands shook. She'd faced down sexist executives, racist clients, corporate politics designed to destroy her. But this felt different. This felt personal and dangerous and overwhelming. I need air. She walked toward the beach door. Zara. Just give me a minute. Please. She stepped outside, the morning wind sharp with salt, and let herself breathe. Behind her, through the window, she saw Jae-hyun make a phone call. His grandmother, probably. Or lawyers. Or someone who could fix this mess. But some messes, Zara knew, couldn't be fixed. Only survived. An hour later, Jae-hyun found her sitting on the beach, bare feet in the sand, staring at the horizon. He sat beside her, close but not touching. My grandmother's lawyers are filing a countermotion against my father's injunction. They're confident it'll fail. That's good. They're also looking into the espionage allegations. Said they're obviously fabricated and won't hold up to scrutiny. Also good. But the visa hearing is trickier. Immigration has broad discretion. If my father has connections there, which he does, they can make your life very difficult even without formal charges. Zara nodded, numb. There's another option, Jae-hyun said carefully. We could get married. She turned to stare at him. What? Not for real. Well, legally real, but not emotionally binding? I don't know how to explain it. He looked frustrated. Marriage to a Korean citizen would secure your visa. Give you permanent residency status. My father couldn't touch you. Jae-hyun. You just ended an arranged marriage. You're not jumping into another fake one. It wouldn't be fake. It would be strategic. That's literally what fake means. She stood, brushing sand off her dress. I'm not marrying you as a legal strategy. That's insane. More insane than getting deported because my father is a vindictive bastard? Yes. Because at least deportation is honest. This would be another performance, another lie, just dressed up as protection. She turned to face him fully. You said no more scripts. No more pretending. Remember? He stood too, frustrated energy radiating off him. Then what's your solution? Let him win. Let him destroy you and call it collateral damage? I don't know. I don't have a solution. I'm just trying to survive the next 72 hours without losing my mind. Then let me help. You are helping. You stood up to your father. You told the truth. You're doing everything right. Her voice cracked. But maybe this is the part where we accept that being brave has consequences. Real, painful, unfair consequences. I refuse to accept that. That's very privileged of you. The words hung between them, sharp and true. Jae-hyun flinched. You're right. I'm sorry. I've never had to worry about visa status or deportation or any of the things you're facing. I was born with every advantage and I'm still figuring out how to use it for anything except self-destruction. I didn't mean. No, you did. And you should. He sat back down in the sand, looking suddenly exhausted. I spent last night feeling like a hero. Like I'd finally done something brave. But bravery without understanding the cost is just recklessness. And you're the one paying for my recklessness. Zara sat beside him. That's not entirely fair. I pushed you. I showed up at that dinner knowing it would cause chaos. Because I made you feel like you had to. Like the only way to reach me was through dramatic gestures and public confrontations. He picked up a handful of sand, letting it slip through his fingers. My father taught me that love is manipulation. That relationships are transactions. Even now, my first instinct was to suggest marriage as a strategy instead of just being honest about what I feel. What do you feel? He looked at her, really looked, without the walls or the masks or the careful control. Terrified. Grateful. Overwhelmed. Like I don't know how to be in a relationship that isn't scripted but I want to learn. Like you're the first person who's ever seen me as just Jae-hyun instead of the heir or the CEO or my father's greatest disappointment. He paused. And like I'm going to screw this up because I don't know how to do real. But I want to try. If you'll let me. Before she could respond, both their phones erupted simultaneously. Zara grabbed hers. News alert, breaking, Kim Hotel Group Board calls emergency meeting. Chairman Kim's leadership challenged. Jae-hyun read from his screen, anonymous source releases audio of Chairman Kim threatening to destroy anyone who enables my son's embarrassment. Recording includes explicit plans to manipulate visa proceedings and fabricate criminal charges. They stared at each other. Who leaked that? Zara asked. Jae-hyun's phone rang.
So?
Min. Tell me that was you, he answered.
So?
Min's voice came through crisp and satisfied. I've been recording your father for 3 years. Every threat, every manipulation, every illegal order. Seemed like a good insurance policy. This morning felt like the right time to cash it in. You're incredible. I know. Minji thinks so too. We're at the airport heading to Singapore, by the way. Thought we'd skip the fallout and start our actual lives. You two should consider the same. We're working on it. Work faster. Your father's lawyers are already trying to discredit the recordings, but the internet is forever. Public opinion is shifting. Use it. A pause. And Jae-hyun. Don't waste this. You fought for freedom. Now actually be free. She hung up. Within minutes, the story exploded. The audio recordings went viral, Chairman Kim's voice, cold and calculating, outlining exactly how he planned to eliminate obstacles and restore family honor. Social media erupted. Hashtags trending, hashtag freedom over legacy, hashtag stand with Jae-hyun, hashtag Kim Hotel Group scandal. But there was another hashtag too, hashtag deport Zara, pushed by conservative groups calling her a foreign influence corrupting Korean values. The internet, as always, was a battlefield with no clear winners. Jae-hyun's phone rang again. His grandmother. Both of you. Back to Seoul. Now. Sunhee's voice brooked no argument. The board meeting is in 3 hours. Your father is trying to force me out claiming I'm senile and you're incompetent. If we don't show up with a united front, he might actually win. Grandmother, I don't think. I don't care what you think. You started this revolution. Now you have to see it through. Besides, her voice softened slightly, running away to Busan was fine for the weekend. But real freedom isn't hiding from your father. It's facing him down and winning. She hung up. Jae-hyun looked at Zara. She's right. About which part? All of it. We can't hide here forever. At some point, we have to go back and face what we started. And walk directly into your father's trap. It's not a trap if we see it coming. He stood, offering his hand. My grandmother said we need a united front. I'm not asking you to marry me as a strategy. I'm asking if you'll stand beside me at that board meeting. Show everyone that we're not running, not hiding, not apologizing. Zara took his hand, letting him pull her to her feet. You realized showing up together is going to make everything worse, right? Probably. But it'll also make a statement. That we're not afraid of him. That truth matters more than appearances. That. Okay. I get it. Revolutionary speech time. She smiled despite everything. Let's go fight your father. What could possibly go wrong? They arrived back in Seoul at 1 p.m., 3 hours before the board meeting. The Kim Hotel Group headquarters looked the same from the outside, but inside it felt like a war zone. Security everywhere, journalists camped in the lobby, employees whispering in clusters. Zara and Jae-hyun entered through the private executive entrance, avoiding the chaos. Jae-hyun met them in the parking garage, looking exhausted and exhilarated. You came back. I honestly thought you'd run to another country. Considered it, Zara admitted. Grandmother's in her office. Father's been locked in the boardroom for 2 hours with his lawyers. This is going to be ugly. When has any of this been pretty? They took the private elevator to the executive floor. Sunhee's office was a command center, lawyers, assistants, tablets displaying news coverage from around the world. The elderly woman sat at the center of it all, looking fierce and focused. Good. You're here. She dismissed everyone else with a wave. Sit. We have work to do. Grandmother, I need to say, Jae-hyun started. Later. Right now, listen. Your father has 3 board members definitely on his side, for definitely on mine. That leaves 6 undecided. The vote to determine who remains in control will be decided by those 6. What do they want? Zara asked. Sunhee smiled sharply. Stability. Profit. Assurance that their investments won't implode because of family drama. They don't care about your sexuality, Jae-hyun. They care about stock prices and quarterly earnings. So how do we convince them? By being better prepared than your father. By showing them that progress and profit aren't mutually exclusive. By proving that this company can survive without his iron fist. She pulled up a presentation on her tablet. I've prepared projections. Financial models showing how embracing modern values and diverse leadership actually increases market share in key demographics. Your coming out wasn't just personal, Jae-hyun. It was strategic, whether you intended it or not. I didn't intend any of this strategically. I know. That's why it worked. Authenticity can't be faked. And in this moment, authenticity is valuable. She turned to Zara. Which is where you come in. Zara blinked. Me? Your marketing campaigns increased engagement by 42% among international guests. Your strategies were consistently killed by my son's conservatism, not by their lack of merit. The undecided board members know this. If you present a vision for the company's future that includes your leadership, they'll listen. I'm facing deportation and corporate espionage charges. I'm not exactly credible right now. You're facing fabricated charges that are already falling apart thanks to
So?
Min's recordings. The immigration hearing is Monday, but I've already had my lawyers file motions. You'll be there. Sunhee's expression hardened. But only if you're willing to fight. If you run, my son wins. If you stay, we have a chance. Zara looked at Jae-hyun, who looked as overwhelmed as she felt. This is insane, she said. Yes, Sunhee agreed. But so is everything worth doing. So? Are you in or out? Zara thought about her apartment with threatening photographs. About visa hearings and deportation proceedings. About a career she'd built being dismantled by a vindictive man who saw people as obstacles. Then she thought about Jae-hyun's face when he'd announced the truth. About
So?
Min walking out toward freedom. About Jae-hyun recording her father's downfall with gleeful defiance. I'm in. But I need one thing. Name it. Access to the marketing data from the last 2 years. All of it. If I'm presenting a vision, I need ammunition that proves I know what I'm talking about. Sunhee smiled. Done. You have 2 hours until the board meeting. Make it count. 2 hours later, Zara stood outside the boardroom door, tablet in hand, wearing a borrowed suit because her office had been cleared out and she couldn't access her own clothes. Jae-hyun stood beside her. You don't have to do this. I can present. No. This one's mine. You did your revolution last night. This is mine. He squeezed her hand. You're terrifying when you're determined. I like it. Remember that when this blows up in our faces. The boardroom doors opened. Sunhee's assistant, they're ready for you. Inside, the boardroom felt like a courtroom. Long table, board members on both sides, Sunhee at one end and Chairman Kim at the other. All eyes turned to Zara and Jae-hyun as they entered. Chairman Kim's expression was murder dressed in a business suit. This is a closed board meeting. Miss Williams has no authority. Miss Williams is presenting as a consultant on the company's future direction, Sunhee interrupted smoothly. Unless you're afraid of what she has to say. The challenge hung in the air. One of the undecided board members, Director Park, leaned forward. I'll hear her out. If nothing else, it'll be more interesting than another hour of procedural arguments. Zara moved to the presentation screen, connecting her tablet. Behind her, she felt Jae-hyun's presence, not hovering, not controlling, just there. Supportive. She pulled up her first slide. Gentlemen. Ladies. Let's talk about fear. Chairman Kim scoffed. This is a waste of time. Fear, Zara continued, voice cutting through his objection, is what's driving this meeting. Fear that the company's reputation is damaged. Fear that progressive values will alienate conservative customers. Fear that change means collapse. She advanced the slide. Here's what fear has cost this company in the last 2 years. Numbers appeared. Campaign proposals she'd submitted that were rejected. Beside each rejection, projected revenue from similar campaigns run by competitors. Total lost revenue, 2.3 billion won. The board members leaned forward. Chairman Kim rejected every one of these campaigns for being too Western or not aligned with company values. Meanwhile, our competitors ran similar campaigns and saw double-digit growth in international markets. Another slide. Here's what happened when one of my campaigns did get approved, the Singapore Boutique Hotel Partnership. Engagement metrics, booking increases, positive press coverage. 42% increase in international bookings. 87% positive sentiment on social media. Featured in 3 major travel magazines. All because we presented the brand as modern, inclusive, and forward-thinking. She looked directly at Chairman Kim. Your fear of change has cost this company billions. Your fear of authenticity has cost it relevance. Your fear of anything that doesn't fit your narrow vision has cost it the future. This is absurd, Chairman Kim snarled. You're using manipulated data. The data is public record. Anyone in this room can verify it. She turned back to the board. Last night, Jae-hyun did something incredibly brave. He told the truth. Messy, complicated, uncomfortable truth. And yes, it caused a scandal. But do you know what else it did? Final slide. Social media metrics from the last 24 hours. Kim Hotel Group has been mentioned 16 million times on social media since last night. 16 million. International press coverage across 42 countries. Our website traffic is up 300%. Booking inquiries from LGBTQ+ travelers have increased 2,000%. She paused, letting that sink in. You can see scandal. Or you can see the biggest unpaid marketing campaign in the company's history. You can see shame. Or you can see a brand that's suddenly relevant to an entirely new demographic. You can see a family imploding, she looked at Sun-hee, then at Jae-hyun, or you can see a company brave enough to evolve. Director Park spoke up. What exactly are you proposing, Miss Williams? I'm proposing we lean into it. Launch a campaign around authenticity and inclusion. Partner with LGBTQ+ travel organizations. Position Kim Hotel Group as the first major Korean hospitality brand to actively welcome diverse guests. Not as a political statement. As a business strategy. Because that market is worth billions. And the conservative backlash, another board member asked, will exist whether we embrace it or run from it. But I'd rather have protesters outside our hotels while we're fully booked than empty rooms because we're too afraid to change. Chairman Kim stood, face red. This is exactly the kind of reckless, Western-influenced thinking that will destroy everything I've built. You built a company, Sun-hee's voice cut through his tirade. I built a legacy. There's a difference. Companies stagnate and die. Legacies evolve or become irrelevant. She looked at the undecided board members. My son wants control because he's terrified of change. I want progress because I'm terrified of obsolescence. Miss Williams has shown you which path leads to profit. The question is, what do you value more? His comfort or this company's future? The room fell silent. Director Park looked at his colleagues, then at Zara. If we vote to keep Chairwoman Sun-hee in control and pursue this direction, what happens to the espionage charges against you? They'll be dropped, Sun-hee said. Because they're fabricated and everyone in this room knows it. And the immigration issues? Resolved. My lawyers are already handling it. Chairman Kim laughed, bitter and sharp. You're buying her legitimacy. Just like you bought my silence for 30 years. This family runs on money and manipulation. No, Jae-hyun spoke for the first time, standing. You ran this family on money and manipulation. The rest of us were just trying to survive it. He looked at his father across the boardroom. I don't hate you. But I don't trust you. And I definitely don't want to become you. So this is me, drawing a line. You can stay in the past, clinging to control and calling it strength. Or you can accept that the world moved on without you. Chairman Kim's expression was pure venom. You'll regret this. All of you. When this progressive experiment collapses and takes the company with it. Then we'll rebuild, Sun-hee said simply. That's what we do. We adapt. We evolve. We survive. Without you. She turned to the board. Vote. Now. All in favor of maintaining my authority as chairwoman and pursuing the strategic direction Miss Williams outlined? 7 hands rose. Sun-hee smiled. Motion passes. Effective immediately, I'm resuming full control. My son will be offered a generous retirement package and consulting role if he chooses to accept it peacefully. Chairman Kim looked at the raised hands, at his son, at Zara, at the empire slipping through his fingers. This isn't over, he said quietly. Dangerously. Yes, son, he replied. It is. Security will escort you out. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. 2 security guards entered, flanking Chairman Kim. For a moment, Zara thought he might fight. Might explode. Might do something violent and desperate. Instead, he straightened his tie, grabbed his briefcase, and walked toward the door. At the threshold, he turned back to Jae-hyun. You've destroyed everything I worked for. I hope it was worth it. It was, Jae-hyun said quietly. Because it wasn't yours to begin with. It was mine. And I'm finally taking it back. Chairman Kim left without another word. The room exhaled collectively. Son, he stood, addressing the board. We have work to do. Miss Williams, you'll work with our communications team to develop the campaign strategy. Jae-hyun, you and I need to discuss your actual role in this company, one based on your abilities, not your father's plans. Everyone else, shareholder meeting next week to formally ratify these changes. Meeting adjourned. As the board members filed out, Zara felt the adrenaline crash. Her hands shook. Her legs felt unstable. Jae-hyun caught her elbow. You okay? I just went to war with a billionaire and won. I'm very not okay. He laughed, slightly hysterical. Join the club. I think I'm having a panic attack. Breathe. In for 4, out for 4. They stood there, 2 people who just burned down the world and somehow survived, teaching each other how to breathe. Son, he approached, looking satisfied. Well done. Both of you. Now get out of my building and don't come back until Monday. You've earned a weekend of not thinking about corporate warfare. What about the immigration hearing? Zara asked. Handled. My lawyers filed emergency motions citing the espionage charges being dropped and your demonstrated value to the company. You'll still need to appear, but it's a formality now. She studied them both. You two have had one of the most chaotic weekends in Korean business history. Take Sunday to remember you're human beings, not just revolutionaries. They left through the private exit, avoiding the press still camped in the lobby. In Jae-hyun's car, driving nowhere in particular, they finally let themselves fall apart. Zara laughed until she cried. Jae-hyun cried until he laughed. They were a mess of adrenaline and relief and terror and hope. We actually did it, Zara said finally. We fought your father and won. We survived. There's a difference. I'll take survival right now. He pulled over, parking along the Han River where the city lights reflected off the water. Thank you. For not running. For fighting beside me. For being brave when I wasn't sure I could be. Thank you for blowing up your life in the most spectacular way possible. Really kept the weekend interesting. He kissed her, soft, grateful, real. No performance, no script. Just 2 exhausted people choosing each other in the aftermath of chaos. When they broke apart, Zara's phone buzzed. Message from an unknown number, the USB drive you received? I sent it. Father paid me to leave the country 5 years ago. Thought you should know the truth. Good luck. You'll need it. Alexander. She showed Jae-hyun. He stared at it for a long moment. He's been watching. Helping from a distance. Looks like it. I need to call him. Eventually. Thank him. Apologize for everything. Eventually. Not tonight. Tonight we just exist. No plans, no strategies, no battles. What do we do instead? Zara thought about it. We could get drunk. Order terrible takeout. Watch bad movies. Be absolutely, completely normal for 12 hours. I don't know how to be normal. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. They drove to Zara's apartment, ordered enough fried chicken to feed 6 people, and spent the night on her couch, not talking about tomorrow or Monday or the future. Just existing. Together. Free.